Hello, in today's tutorial we'll be taking a look over the setup and usage of multi-currency within Receta. We will cover how we can initially set up Receta to make alternative currencies available within the system. We will also cover how to set up your customers and suppliers to be managed in an alternative currency, and finally I'll show you the differences between auto calculation of exchange rate prices and manually set prices. Don't worry if that doesn't make sense right now, I'll go over it all shortly. So let's get started. First things first, let's understand what we mean by multi-currency. By default, your copy of Receta will be based on a single currency which you will have set up during the initial setup phase of using the program. If we want to remind ourselves, we will go to Account, Your Account, and on the right hand side here, under Locality, we'll be able to see our current base currency and our VAT rate. In the demo copy, obviously, we'll see that this has been set to GBP or pounds, and we can also see the alternatives that we have. If we consider that setup as being called single currency or base currency, multi-currency can then be described as making up to two additional currencies available within the system. At all times, it should be noted that throughout the whole system, Receta will always use the base currency and its stored pricing in all of the calculations, reports, and the additional currencies are simply used as helper tools when communicating with your customers and or suppliers, and are also used when exporting information to your accountancy package. To enable your copy of Receta for multi-currency, you should go to Admin, Accounts, Alternative Currency Rates. On this page you will see the two alternative currencies available to your copy of Receta. To enable a particular currency, simply click the tick box above that currency and enter the exchange rate you wish to use. The rate you choose is entirely up to you. This can be your preferred manual rate you use within other parts of your business, or it can be a rate you get from your local tax authority, or if you prefer, you can click the Get Auto Rate button and the current exchange rate against your base currency will be downloaded from an integrated internet source. We would advise, regardless of the rate you choose to use, that you plan to update this rate on a regular basis. This could be monthly, weekly, or even daily if you wish. When we've enabled the currencies we need, we click to save. Here we can see that the last time we updated the currency and the rate we have now stored. We will now take the next step and enable your customers and or suppliers to be handled in our newly created alternative currencies. To switch an existing customer or supplier to an alternative currency, or indeed set up a new customer or supplier to an alternative currency, is exactly the same. So let's set this up against a brand new customer. As you can see, we enter all of the information we would normally enter when adding a new customer. If you're unsure at this point how to do this, please view one of the other videos that we have or read some of the help files to do with adding customers. If we scroll here to this particular section, you will see that when a multi-currency is being enabled within Receta, the new currency drop-down box appears. Here we can see that by default it will set against the current base currency we have set in the overall system. We should now choose to set them to dollars, for example, enter the rest of the details, hit save, and that customer will now have their preferred currency stored as being in dollars. So now we've done that, what does that setup do now? Whenever you now place a quotation, sales order or invoice, or in the case of a supplier, a purchase order, the pricing shown will be automatically converted into their alternative currency based upon the rate we have previously stored. Let's show you that now. If we look at this particular supplier, we'll see that their currency is set as in euros. If we choose to write a purchase order against them, we can see the materials which we have stored against us. If we choose to add this item, we can see the price is based upon a converted price. If this is unsure, here's an example. So let's say we have an RM stored as £1 per unit in our base currency of GBP. We also have an alternative of euros with a conversion rate set as 1.5. We finally have a supplier set up to be in euros. This is the example on screen now. When placing a purchase against that supplier for that RM, the price shown will actually be shown in the base currency price and the calculated alternative currency price. When saved, the price will be shown in its dual currency options. However, when printing or emailing the document to the supplier, it will be shown purely in the alternative currency price. The same setup would also work for the C-prods and their converted pricing when selling to a customer, set in an alternative currency. That covers us for how to deal with multi-currency using the auto-calculation method of pricing. However, in many cases, auto-calculation may not be suitable. In many cases, you will have a flat price you have been given by your supplier in that alternative currency, or indeed you have provided your customers a flat purchase price for a C-prod in an alternative currency. So how do we handle that scenario? It's actually very straightforward. If we go into any particular RM, or in case it's a C-prod which we wish to set manually, and then we go to edit our pricing, we can see here that as well as our standard cost per saleable unit, because we have enabled alternative currencies, the cost per saleable unit in the alternative currencies is now shown as fields for us to add, and you can see it tells us there that if we add this will override the auto calculation method. If we were adding pricing for a C-prod, these alternative currency boxes would be provided to the right of the C-prod standard pricing. When we have stored any manual rates and saved them, it is these rates rather than the auto-calculated rates which will be used going forward. There are two key points to note if you are using this particular method. 1. Any of the tools used for profit calculators and or pricing recommendations will only work in your base currency. If you choose to amend the base currency rate for a C-prod or an RM, which also has a manually set alternative currency prices, it is your responsibility to update those other prices accordingly if required. 2. When exporting any purchase orders and invoices into your accountancy package which have been stored in any alternative currency, the converted rate which was in place when that document was created will be used to convert the values back into your base currency price during the import. Virtually all third-party accountancy packages operate in this way, and it can lead to very minor discrepancies in exchange rate, which your business in the whole may experience during conversion between currencies, getting into your banks, etc. This completes the video for multi-currency within Receta. I hope you've enjoyed it.